Hello, hello, hello again. It is Lisa Holland from Belly Guru and Fantastic Healing and Lifestyle Programs. And today we're going to go over the dreaded, controversial downward facing dog. I know, it's one of the most popular yoga poses you'll hear. But in my world of integrative yoga therapy, namely working with physical therapists and occupational therapists, it could be a nightmare on our patients' arms, shoulders, and chest. The main reason I think, and what I've found, is because it's not being done for technique as much as for show. So today I wanted to go over what it is you're looking for, because so many times you're looking in a magazine or on somebody else on the mat, or even your teacher's instructions, but you're not really being told the biomechanical analytical work that should be happening at the core. You're told to bring your arms over your head. You're told to maybe focus even on the lower body during the practice of downward facing dog, and to stretch your hamstrings. And the problem is that when your spine's not addressed properly in downward facing dog, you are not going to be able to position your shoulders properly, and you're going to get some impingements or neck problems, depending on where you're hanging your head or the direction of the force. What we call in yoga, or what I call maybe pranic movement, prana, or the energy force movement in mainstream Western physical therapy world, I refer that to the kinetic chain. And basically, what both of those things are is a conscious use of your energy, a constant conscious direction of your energy. And I find that, like everything else in life, in nature, which is what yoga is, union with ourself, with nature, that it can be very much off of what I would work with a physical therapist with, forming your foundation, forming your platform for movement. So in an infant, I would be working on getting them to crawl by maybe just putting weight through their shoulders and initiating something to happen at their shoulder girdle, or with some manual techniques. And I've just brought that onto the mat with my clients. And I've seen the similar changes. So I knew the problem wasn't really, I'm not really on the bandwagon of saying don't do downward facing dog, it's the worst thing ever. I'm more on the bandwagon that it is an essential pose that was given, and if you want to do it, you need to learn how to do it properly, and you need to wait until your body is ready to accommodate the stresses. And if not, you need to maybe use things such as straps at the wall, which I'm not going to be going over today. It'll be another little cast, blog cast for us. But you might need to work on your shoulder girdle a lot, and being able to work on your spine a lot. Maybe looking at my series on Cobra or Bhujangasana to develop that movement so that you can place your shoulder girdle in the right position, so that your arms lifting up are coming from the right muscle action, or what we fancy term force coupling at your shoulder. In very basic everyday terms, we need to have your whole body working as a whole unit. So let's get started on the mat. Let's first start with how I start in the Cobra series, and you can go over this in my Cobra video, with getting your shoulder girdle to be in the right place. So we're going to use nice, bright, wide starfish hands, okay? So you are reaching out like the sun, sunshine hands, starfish hands, thinking how it would feel in consciousness to be that object. So you're not going to have lazy hands. You're not going to have what I call texting thumbs, where everything's on the floor except for this little L here between your index finger and your thumb, because everything's so tight from texting all the time. You're going to really reach through and try to ground your knuckles. Okay, it's not really about, these fingers are like little add-ons. They're like your toes, okay? The toes are little add-ons for grounding the rest of your foot. They're extra balance points. So as you reach through, you're going to have more of this feeling of reaching out of your heart, which is why we need to have movement through the mid-back, okay? So it becomes more of this reaching with your hips pulling back, allowing for this to look like it happens, than it is actually lifting up and arching your low back, which is what I see a lot of my clients do on the mat. So we're going to break this down. I'm going to show you a couple of different views, okay? I'm going to go into down dog. Hands are about shoulder width apart. You might have to turn your index fingers out towards the sides. If your shoulders are a little stiff, it gives a little bit more room for the arms on the body. You're going to have your knees right underneath your hips. So you're really looking like the tabletop, which is another video that you can look at and get some information on. From there, you're going to get the bottom of your toes down. And then it becomes about what we call that kinetic chain, or that pranic lift, that consciousness, getting the weight and grounding of the knuckles of your hands up and lift it up through the core, up through your abdomen, out your tailbone. So I'm going to be reaching the crown of my head actually forward when I'm in towards my thumbs, and I'm going to be reaching my tailbone up and back. So I'm really visualizing in my center of my mind a nice long diagonal, which may mean I need to get into that by bending my knees and unlocking my pelvic girdle. So let's go into that pose. Pushing up and back, my hands and knuckles are reaching down and forward. I'm lifting my tailbone high, and I'm reaching the crown of my head towards the thumbs, not towards the middle of the mat. And I'm not worried about looking into my belly button, which is another thing I see a lot of people do. So if I have a very stiff spine, my pelvis can't really move here, I'm going to have to bend my knees to give slack on the pelvis and allow the guide wires of the hamstrings to have some increased length so that I can have play through my mid-back. I'm going to adjust my legs towards the back of my mat to start opening up that V. And I'm really going to be dictated by how my shoulders feel. My shoulder blades need to feel like they're going down and back my spine, like again, cobra into Ashtanga Namaskar. There's plenty of poses to stretch the hamstring. A lot of people will walk their heels, or they're being instructed to go through their hamstrings, but you really lose the ability to work through the spine there unless you're very, very loose. So I would break it up for now. You also have the variation of working through in dolphin pose, which are elbows and forearms. This is a really nice pose to work on being able to push yourself away through your chest while also reaching down through your arms and opening up that spine. It gets the feeling of being able to work through that shoulder girdle and push into that pose. You want to really work on keeping that neck long. If you can't do the downward facing dog, then you're going to maybe modify it up against the wall. So we're going to use this wall to demonstrate. Now you don't have the weight compressing forces, but you can work on the spine. And you can work into opening up your shoulders, letting your arms be out a little bit on a diagonal. You want to reach and get your shoulders to look like your arms are over your head by reaching through the heart, not vice versa by hanging into your shoulders. And that's working on downward facing dog. Of course, it's not a pose for everyone, and I would recommend that if you do have shoulder injuries, you maybe see me at the Belly Yoga Training Center, or go see your physical therapist or your local yoga therapist, someone that's trained in understanding the anatomy and the physiology and the kinesiology of the body, not just looking at pictures and applying it to you. Thanks and have a great day. We'll see you soon on the mat.